There are so many different ways that you can grow a successful jewelry company, especially when you're reaching your customers or clientele online. And I love featuring designers and makers who are doing big things in their business and maybe even scaling to multiple six and even seven-figure businesses, doing something different and outside of the box. So today on the show, I'm interviewing Ulka Wilson of Ulka Rocks to talk about her business model of how she does personal shopping and designing for private clientele. Hey there, I'm Tracy Matthews. I'm the Chief Visionary Officer of Flourish and Thrive Academy, the host of the Thrive by Design podcast, and the author of The Desired Brand Effect. Stand out in a saturated market with a timeless jewelry brand. I help jewelry companies launch, grow, and scale successful 5, 6, and 7-figure businesses using my methodology. And I'm glad you're here listening to this show today because you'll be inspired by Ulka Wilson. Before I dive in to today's episode, make sure that you subscribe to this channel, that you like this video if you've enjoyed the content, and I would love for you to share in the comments below what your favorite takeaway is. Now, let me introduce Ulka before we dive into this episode. She has been designing jewelry for over 20 years. She started her company about 3 years ago as a side hustle. When she finally quit her corporate job last May or June, she knew that she wanted to build a jewelry company as her second business or second career in retirement. She's built a business around personal shopping for private clients, and she is crushing it. So let's dive in to today's episode with Ulka. I'm so excited to have one of my students on the show, Ulka Wilson. Ulka,
I'm so happy
welcome.
to be here.
Well, I wanted to interview you today because you're in our Momentum program, but you started out with your Flourish and Thrive journey, taking one of our programs called the TYC. And we were on a call a couple of weeks ago, and you were sharing with me some of the great successes you were having with a very specific business model that you have. And so I wanted to share with our community kind of how you're reaching more customers online by doing personal shopping and designing jewelry for private customers. So thanks so much for sharing your journey with us. Tell me a little bit more about how you got into the jewelry industry.
Okay, so I've always liked just crafts and, projects like that. And I've always been fascinated with jewelry. So long ago, I took beading classes and learned how to bead and make things. And so I was doing that a lot just on my own for myself. And the stacks of jewelry were stacking up in my in my jewelry cabinet. And what I was noticing was a lot of people would comment on my jewelry when I wore it. And then I've heard this from a few other jewelers. I think it's kind of a typical way maybe to get started. But people would just comment on it and ask me where I bought it. And I tell them I made it, and then they'd ask to buy it. So enough people were kind of buying it right off my body that I thought, okay, well, let me see about this. And then my family, super supportive, and my friends, and they're like, you should start a business. And I was still working full time. So I just did kind of a part-time business on the side. And I started on Etsy, which was a really easy place to start. And you don't have to have the glamorous website and all that. So it was an easy way to do kind of a part-time business. And then that really grew quickly. So I thought, well, let me try a website. And I got one together, but it was hard to get, all the pictures right and all the descriptions and, SEO and all that. So I had it, but it was kind of a side thing. I really kind of just kept with Etsy. And then I retired from my corporate job after 31 years, long time, because I wanted to actually focus more on the jewelry. I had been doing that for so long that I thought, well, let me just make a switch. And it was slowly growing over the 5 years before I stopped working. So I thought, well, let me just take a go at this. So then I went full time. So that's how I'm kind of here.
Okay, awesome. Well, what were you doing in the corporate world before?
It's a long period of time, so I did a lot of things. I was very lucky to work for such a big corporation, and I got to work in IT and technology. I ran global organizations, so I got lots of exposure to global processes. I worked in vendor management, design, like end user design, finance, accounting, relationship management, supply chain. So really kind of everything, but you'll notice except for marketing. So when I stopped working and I stepped back a little bit, I really looked at my my business model that I had for Ulka Rocks, and I was not using any of my business skills because it was kind of a break for me, when I was working, and I like to make things and buy things.
Mhm.
I was not selling very many things. So anyways, when I put all my business skills to work and analyzed it a bit, I was really losing money on it, and it was not going to be a viable business. So I know I needed some help to get it.
Well,
Really.
yeah, well, that's good. The one thing that I love that you said about there is that you had all these skills, except for maybe the marketing. That's not something that you did, but you
Right.
weren't applying it to your business. And then when you finally did, you're like, oh, wait, this isn't really a business. I got to figure this out. So what was that transition like going from corporate to doing your kind of passion project full time?
To me, it was really exciting, and it really wasn't very hard. I decided I was going to retire, and when I did that, I was at a really good place in my career. I'd done a lot, so I was really, happy with where I was. But I was really excited about doing something new, so that made the transition a little bit easier. And I really didn't skip a beat. I went my retirement day of May 31st, and June 1st, I was making more jewelry and working on my website and doing all the stuff. So I think just having it already going gave me confidence that,
Mhm.
oh yeah, I can just jump right into this thing and have that be my second career. So it didn't take much thinking, and it's doing stuff I love. So that wasn't hard either. So
And how long ago was that?
that was, let's see, last May. So about
Oh, wow.
9 months. Yeah.
You really made this transition quickly.
Yes.
I hadn't
Yes.
realized. I thought it was maybe 2 years or 3 years.
Oh, it was only 9 months. In fact, it made me feel good. One of my girlfriends the other day told me, she said, your retirement is the most seamless I've seen because you just went from one thing to the next, and, was totally happy with it and didn't have a day of being bored or anything. So it worked out. But I think it was key having it going a little bit.
Hmm.
Or if I had just kind of stopped that day and said, okay, now I want to start a business, then it would have been harder, I think.
Well, I think the one thing that I've really observed about you that I think is remarkable is that you have this go-getter kind of career focused mentality already. This, like, I can tell that's inbred. Like, you want to make your business successful. Like, you're like one of those, the people who, like, you're more like business person, not just artist,
Yeah.
right? And so this is great because it's awesome when you kind of have both sides. And you found out pretty early on, you're like, well, this business isn't making money. I need to figure out how I can get in the red. And I remember, or in the green, excuse me. And I remember when you joined our TYC program, and we had you got a bonus to get to chat with me. And we were talking about all of the stuff that you had been collecting over the years. And I'm like, you got to get rid of that some way, shape, or form. And you did really quickly, which was awesome. I'm kind of skipping ahead to some of the questions, but that kind of thinking I think is really great because you're applying those business skills to your actual business, which is awesome.
Right.
I want to kind of dive into your business model because you've kind of approached this a little bit differently. You cater to women who want unique things, which a lot of people like to design beautiful, unique things. But you really kind of tap this market on personal shopping. So tell me a little bit more about this business model and why you decided to go into it.
Okay, well, maybe I'll start with the why part first.
Yeah.
So you're right. I've always loved for myself unique jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
And it always, makes you feel good when somebody compliments your jewelry, and there's really nothing like it out there. So I like that for myself. So that's kind of the business model and what I wanted to create was like. So I know some businesses like to create, one thing and sell 100 of them, but I like to sell, 100 of, I like to, I'm getting all this.
Yeah.
I can't speak. I like to sell one of 100 different things. So that's a harder business model because it takes a lot of time and effort. I think it's, much more efficient to make one thing and sell a lot of it versus the way I do it. So I did know I wanted to do something unique, and just creating that by myself was kind of hard. So that'll lead into the shopping a little bit. And then the other thing is the shopping is I think I told you this in our first meeting together, but I'm definitely a shopaholic.
Yep.
My husband would say it's a curse probably, but I wanted to view it as a superpower and use that skill. So when I had the website and Etsy, that was kind of my online presence.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't love, it's a lot of work, you've got to photograph things perfectly and write all these descriptions and that's, I can do that, but I don't love doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, since I love the shopping side, I thought, well, let me try that out and see if I use the shopping part to actually showcase things to people and have them shop that way. So I started that about a year ago, almost kind of by mistake. My trip got expanded in Tucson when I was there because of flight delays. And then I just thought of, well, let me just try to videotape some of these things and see what happens. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I really enjoyed it because I got more time to, shop but it still was good from a business side because I wasn't putting it, all just back into inventory and people were getting their stuff faster. So, and getting some unique things. So it kind of just evolved over the last year. So that's become a bigger part of my business, but I do still have my website, too, but it's the shopping trips that I love. And I think the customers really like it too. They get to see a lot of things really quickly. And I
Mm-hmm.
can show a variety and I can change direction, depending on what they want. And we can, I can almost do things for them faster because if we find a pendant that somebody likes, we can easily, go to the next table and find some beautiful beads that can go with it or another necklace to coordinate or earrings or so we can kind of put together a whole ensemble for them pretty quickly and they get some things again that nobody else has and
Mm-hmm.
kind of a neat experience for them. But I think they have a lot of fun too. I've noticed as I've been doing the trips, people, I can see the excitement on Instagram as I'm starting to do the trips. So
I loved all your promotional graphics and everything. I was like, what is Ulka doing? There's like her head and like she's in a computer holding up
yeah.
some.
Well, that's my tech side. I still love technology and like all the fun stuff and design work. So
Super
that's
fun. How do you keep it all organized? I mean, that's like a lot if you're working with like, let's say, how many customers do you usually have at a specific time when you're doing a shop, like a personal shopping trip?
well, I can have this as this gets more popular, I can have 20 different texts going at one time with people.
Mm,
So it's a lot to manage. And each person is important to me, so I want to make sure I spend enough time with them and so it's getting kind of hard. I do it all myself. In fact, I was at one show in Houston and a customer of mine saw me there and I had my little tripod set up with my phone and I was, showing some different pendants, making a video. And she came by and she goes, "You do this by yourself?" She's like, "How do you do that?" But it's a lot of work. I got to look for the things, talk to the vendors, negotiate the prices, design things together, kind of figure out, okay, what do I need for my inventory? Because I'm still, making and designing things. Who of my customers might like this? Should I send it to them? Should I just show it to a broader group? Is there more than one? I mean, you kind of got to keep track. And Tucson's especially challenging because I'm sure you have been and many designers have been, but it's multiple venues all over Tucson.
Yeah.
So if 3 days after you're past something, if somebody comes back and says, "Oh, I like that thing you saw over there," then I gotta like go over. But so it's a lot. But eventually, I'm gonna need help because it's a lot to handle. But it's exhausting, huge amount of work, but it's fun.
Do you ever just find some things that you like and then bring those things home and like do kind of the arrangements later and then present them, like reach out to customers that might be interested in some of those pieces?
Yeah. So thanks to you, there's a lot less of that. And I'm much more focused on it. So I used to be all over the place. If I saw anything pretty, I would just say, "Oh, well, someone will buy that. I'll just buy it." And it wouldn't be quite in my wheelhouse of stuff. But now I'm a little more focused on what my look is and what my designs are. And so I really have a lot of self-talk as I'm there and say, "Okay, that's pretty. And
Mhm.
someone might like it, but it's not my general customer group and it's not what I should be focusing on." And
So
so
you're
I
really
don't.
focused on the core customer that you've curated.
Yes. And it's interesting because as I put more out there, you talk about the dream client.
Hmm.
The dream client for me has kind of evolved. And now I kind of know what that is a little bit. And so I buy more that dream client likes. And if I try to go outside of that, I don't do as well, even,
Yeah.
just slightly outside. So there really is something to that and figuring out really what that core customer is and what they like.
That's probably why you had all that inventory when we first met.
Yes, it is, because everything was pretty and everything's awesome, but it's just all over the place. And then it's hard to sell it too, because then it's like a weird thing. Like, how did this purse come into the picture?
I remember you talking about that. You're like, yeah, I have like 4 handbags in my closet right now that I just bought thinking someone would buy them. I'm like, handbags? Like, how are you getting handbags at that?
Yes. And the other problem I had was because I was not thinking about that dream client, I was trying to please everyone.
Yeah.
So if one customer said, well, in fact, this is a good example from this morning. Somebody reached out on my website and said, oh, you have really pretty gemstones and, stones. Can you get me some rocks that are at least a pound for my business, because I make the cabochons? So can you look for those rocks for me?
No.
The prior, Ulka would have said, oh, I need to please this customer. This is something they want. I'm capable of looking for rocks, so I'll go do that. And it took my focus off of what I really like to do. But this morning I had no problem writing a note saying, no, I don't shop for rocks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you have to find somebody, else to do that. You might look on Etsy or something. But.
What's really powerful about that? This is thank you for bringing this up, because the more that you say no to the wrong people, the more that you start to attract the right people. It's weird how that starts to happen. And this goes the same for anything when it comes to manifesting or creating what you want and desire in your business. Like, if you can move through like your own story about why you're doing the things, like you're a people pleaser. It sounds like you just want to make people happy.
Yeah.
I'm pulling that out of you, but or what other people do. Some people are operating out of trauma or stories or whatever, and they take actions in their life and in their business based on that. But the more you start what ends up happening is you end up maybe not doing what's right for the business or right for you, and you feel compromised and then defeated. Your business isn't as profitable. We all know the story, how it can spiral down. When you start saying no, I feel like the most amazing thing that starts to happen is that more opens up for you, where the right kind of people start coming to you.
Right. And then you can spend more time on those people, really get what they want. And I really enjoy people anyway, not just the pleasing part, but just getting to know people. So I don't have a huge customer group, but I like to keep it that way so I can really get to know the customers, know things about their lives. I've built some really unexpected friendships through the business, where we text each other a lot, on a daily basis, not about jewelry, but about other things. So it's really fun even just to get the friendships built.
Yes.
And you have time for that, which is enjoyable, not just doing all business stuff. So.
Well, what I have to say, Ulka is like kind of playing down her success, because she is doing very well. Just going to say that. We're not going to talk about, she asked not to talk about specific numbers, but we're going to talk about growth. And I was really impressed from the get-go of how well her business was going when she came to us for help originally. So don't downplay how successful you are. Small is like, here's what I've learned. I used to sell thousands of units a month to wholesale stores, and my business has never been more profitable than scaling it down and working with a smaller group of customers who pay more money. And it's not necessarily about like overcharging or anything like that. It's about delivering a great service, which is what I see you doing, whether or not like you're really taking care of these people and giving them value, which I think is important. So my next question for you is, because I got to watch your last journey. I didn't know you until you joined our TYC program, because that's the first time I think that you encountered Flourish and Thrive Academy. I'm not totally sure, but how have you used some of the online methods that you learned from that program to grow, like basically grow these shopping trips, and how you're reaching customers, et cetera, in your business?
I think the biggest thing for me has been Instagram. Before, I was just posting, a couple things a month, and, maybe something pretty, but I really don't have an overall strategy. I think you all encouraged us in the class to be brave and do some videos. I had to practice like 100 times to do one.
Oh, you're doing great.
And then so I finally did some videos, which I think people want to see you, and you can explain something about a piece of jewelry so much better in a video than just the picture. So the videos I think were big, and then posting a lot more. So getting more exposure that way. And of course the reels, hit some different people versus just your posts. And I try to use stories more. So I'm trying to use all the different things. And then the other online thing I'd say is I had a mailing list that I had built from Etsy, but I was totally laughing when somebody in one of your classes said, you can't just send one email at Christmas and say I'm having a sale and hope for the best.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was doing. So when he started talking about email lists, I did already have one, and I for sure need to build it more. But I wasn't ever connecting with the customers outside of, that one sale, the Christmas sale. So, I started doing more of that just to tell them what I was doing. So, telling them I'm going on a shopping trip, or, a little more advance notice on a sale or something. So I think the email list is helping grow the customer base as well.
Yeah. And also will eventually help you grow ready to wear, or the one of a kind pieces, or whatever it is that you're designing on your website. Right. I mean, I know just because you've told me this, but your business is growing. I feel like you're kind of at capacity. You're getting to be at a place at capacity where you're producing almost as much as you can with the volume you have, which is amazing. I don't know that a lot of people can state that. And this is just a testament to you being committed to making the sales, which is awesome. Okay, so I have a couple more questions for you about this. One of my favorite things or ways to think about online and digital marketing and all that stuff is like, how does it contributes to the overall growth of a company? And so one of the things that I just want to kind of highlight here is that I think when a lot of people come saying that they want more online sales, they're just hoping for people to point and click out of their website. But how is it growing your business overall, I think is a better question to ask, because at that point, like if you're doing all these things, and maybe because your clientele I know is a little bit older, they might not be as savvy to just like clicking a button on a website, but they are reaching out to you and buying. Like, does it matter to you that it's not necessarily through your website platform, or is it just what are you looking at to measure success?
Well, it's interesting. I've been kind of thinking about that, because I still do spend a lot of time on the website and trying to make it, look good. And when I add things, but I don't get a lot of sales there. So every once in a while, there'll be just some random person that buys something, and it's super exciting when that happens. But I'm starting to, work on my strategy for my business. It's really all about the customer connection, and which I think I'm trying to accept that's not really going to be from the website. There might be a few things I put there, but that's really not where the core of my business is going to be. So it's going to be probably from these social interactions. So I'm putting more of my time in those, because that seems to be where my success has been.
That's great. And what I'll always also say is that I feel like I do feel like there's an opportunity. I don't want to turn this into a coaching session, but I do want to mention this, because there is an opportunity for you to actually create more product that people could buy online that are one of a kind or special pieces, where you can point people to buy those things and eventually charge a more premium for these personal shopping experiences, so that you can anchor it that way as something to drive more sales to the website. But I think that it's a really important distinction, because if you have a customer that's a little bit older that has a lot of money to spend, they aren't the kinds of people always that are going to just go and shop online. And so this is where I think getting clear on your customer buying behavior can be really powerful in using online strategies to help you grow. I know that you're taking our Traffic on Fire program right now, but I feel like there's a huge opportunity for you, even with Google Ads and some of the advertising that maybe potentially you'll do, to be able to like position yourself as like personal jewelry shopper Houston.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And like use those keywords to get those wealthy Houston ladies.
Well, it's funny. I don't have very many Houston customers.
Really?
Kind of friends, or a friend of a friend or something, but not a lot. No, I have huge base in California,
Wow.
New York, Pennsylvania,
Perfect.
Kansas, Florida. They're all over the place. So, and as I actually am doing these shopping trips, I'm trying to connect with some of the customers as I go to these different places. So, it's giving me that opportunity also.
That's amazing. So I know your business has grown over the last year. How has like incorporating all of this, the email marketing, the Instagram, the outreach and all that stuff helped you grow your business over the past 9 months or so?
It's been huge. And I couldn't have done it without it because it really gave me a lot of focus, which I didn't have before. And it helped me really analyze my business. So I saw where the real gaps were. And then I got practical advice on how to address those things.
Hmm.
And one thing I really liked about all the courses is there was also always like a practical solution to something, asking us to practice it to make sure we knew how to do it.
Hmm.
And so that just really helped me because then I could kind of test it each week and see, what worked, what didn't work, what did I like doing, what did I not do. So I implemented all kinds of little things along the way. Even like the other social media, I haven't been real active on it because I focus so much on Instagram, but we had a really good coach on the Pinterest
Yes.
session.
In the train your customers to buy from you online
Yes.
program. Yes.
And all I did was hook my shop up to Pinterest. That was part of the exercise. And for some reason, one of my listings on my website just went viral for some odd reason. It's nothing I posted on Pinterest. It just connects to your catalog and then your things are there for people to see. And I must have gotten 20 sales on this one thing. It happened to be something that I did have a different whole variety of them. And it's still people ask, like, is that sold out? Like, what is that? Like this odd, like piece of turquoise thing that people like. So, but that was from the class, just trying to implement that one little thing. And again, I didn't do a lot there. I haven't spent as much time as I would like, but
Imagine what would happen if you actually put some time and energy
I
into
know.
it.
Yes, that's where I think I need people. I need some help.
So I'm going to backtrack a little bit. What was the impetus for you joining the TYC program? Why was it interesting to you?
You know how we say that the internet is listening to us or something? So when I analyzed my business after I had retired, I was seeing that I wasn't making, a profit. And I was kind of trying to look for things and I kind of started seeing like, I'm just not good at selling things. I'm great at finding things and making things and creating and whatever, but I'm just not good at selling things. So I was like, well, let me see what kind of can help me sell things. And then I swear it was like that day in my Instagram feed, a Flourish and Thrive thing came up. And I watched it a few times and I think it was right before one of your master classes.
Hmm.
I was like, well, let me just try that. It's free. So let
Yeah.
me see. And I got a lot of value out of it. And I was like, well, heck, if I can get that much just from like a couple day session, let me just try this. So that's kind of why I decided to do it because I did the, you know, free thing and it
Awesome.
created a lot of value. So I was like, well, then the paid thing must be really good. So
Awesome. I love that. I think that was one of our like supercharge your sales or ramp up your holiday sales
yes,
masterclass, which is
yes.
yeah, so awesome. So you talked a little bit about your like how that you sold out of 20 pieces just from the program and stuff like that. One of the things that I remember, because my goal always is like when we start a workshop or accelerator, you said something to me when we were having like you were one of the first people to sign up, so you got a little bonus session with me, and you're like, I think I've already made the investment back in the program. Tell me, and one of my goals is to help people make their investment back like really soon. So what happened there?
So that was I think it was from that master class where you put some kind of challenge out
Yeah.
saying, here, send some emails, send some texts, just put some stuff out there
Hmm.
and, different ways to put things out there. So I think I just put some stuff on our neighborhood blog. I just was doing, I put stuff out. I did things that I just wasn't, I knew I needed to do, but I just was not doing them. So just that little challenge kind of forced me to, okay, well, let me try to do this and reach out to some Houston customers that I hadn't seen in a while. And a lot of them needed things, and I happened to have them in my big inventory stash.
Great.
And the neighborhood blog, I put some purses and some things out there that I hadn't, and otherwise they were just sitting. So yeah, so I made enough money to pay for the class. And so I thought, okay, well, that came from that part. And so I might as well just invest it towards this. So yeah, so that's how it happened.
That is amazing. I love that. So what were some of your specific results after taking the TYC?
So just from that class, implementing everything that I did and fixing a lot of my problems that I was having in the business. Last year, my revenues were 5 times what
Wow.
they in the prior year. And my expenses were less than half because I was not continuing to build all that
Yeah.
crazy. With that, it was the first time in 5 years that I made any profit. So I was super excited about that. So want to continue that path forward.
Awesome. How did your January shopping trip go?
It was good. I ended up getting sick. I planned, I think it was 7 days there on that trip, the big Tucson trip, and I got sick during the trip. And I missed 3 days, so I extended a couple more days. Part of the shows are even over by the time, I got
Hmm.
better. So, but I made the most of it, and I still found a lot of great things, and I made sure, that I was trying to post as much as I could for people. And I got a lot of new customers, I think, just from some of the Instagram feeds and things. So it actually turned out great. Even being sick and missing several days, I still made my goal. So
And what was it? I know that you don't want to share the dollar amount of the goal, but what was your goal from the growth of
the
the
goal
previous
was,
year?
since I kind of started to do this a bit more, and was more efficient at it. I thought, okay, I want to do at least twice the volume that I did the prior year. And I did that and then some. So I was really excited about that.
That's awesome. And it was a big goal. Like it's what most
Yes.
people do in an entire year. I'm just going
Yeah.
to put that out there. Like it was a really big goal. So we're just
Yeah.
going to go with that. And I understand, people don't want their customers listening to their financials and stuff like that. So I appreciate you sharing like how your business has grown and stuff like that. Did you have any hesitations in joining the program?
Yeah. So I think my main hesitation was I've been trained in the corporate world to, hold competitive secrets,
Hmm.
close to the vest. And so I kind of thought about like this, okay, how's this going to work when all these, jewelers are together and sharing this information? And I wasn't quite sure, how that would work from like a competitive standpoint. I think I talked to you about that and maybe Natasha in the beginning, and you all tried to, comment on the community
Hmm.
aspect. So I said, okay, well, let me try to get over that fear. And then I'm glad I did, because the community part is huge and there's really no competition
Yeah.
because the things we're sharing are things we're learning, you
Yeah.
know, how to, what's a good email? What does it look like? And what is, an SMS, and how does that, what's a good idea to do that? And so it's just more sharing ideas that can help everybody. And I think it was really good. Nobody was sharing any, their deep dark secrets, but the stuff everybody shared was super helpful,
Right.
and just much more of a community. Coaches, of course, gave all that help as well, and it helped everybody. So
Awesome.
so that fear was alleviated.
Awesome. Would you recommend the program to someone who's listening?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's probably better if you've already started a business
Hmm.
a little bit, so you can kind of have an idea of where you might need help or understand a lot of the concepts. I can see that if you were brand new, like just thinking about starting a business, it might be not the right thing quite yet. But, early on in a business, I think I wish I'd had it earlier
Right.
but yeah, really wherever you are in your journey of a business, I think it's helpful, because I did a lot last year with it, and I'm still, this year doing a lot more with it. So
Exactly. Awesome. Do you have any final advice to our listeners today?
I guess a couple things. One would be that it's never too late to start. I started a little later in life on my business, and it's working great and giving me some super exciting things to do and as a second career. And then also, as you're starting a business, I would just say, always self-reflect, kind of know what you want and what you like and keep pursuing that and know where your gaps are and don't be afraid to get help, whether it's education or outsourcing for things that you're not good at. And then just a lot of focus. I didn't have a lot of focus, and that's something that I've improved on, and it's done wonders for me. So really, yeah, I think that's really what I would say.
Awesome. Where can everyone find you?
I'm on Instagram under Ulka, Ulka Rocks. And of course, you can always go to my website, ulkarocks.com. And there's a contact form there if you want to contact me and reach out. But Instagram's really fun because the shopping trips are there, and that's where all the kind of excitement is. So.
Awesome. Ulka, thank you so much for being here today.
All right. Thanks, Tracy. It's been fun.
Thank you so much for watching the show today. If you'd like to learn more about our Train Your Customers to Buy From You Online program, the program that Ulka took that has helped her grow her business by 5x or 5 times or 500%, however you want to say it, this year, then head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/TYC and check out what the program is all about. Ciao for now.